Welcome to Healthier, Happier You, the people working to make it happen. I'm Evan J. Cholfin from Lexhammer, where we help the brands to help you live healthier. Today, I'm joined by Michael Altman, president and founder of Blend Labs RX. Since 2020, Michael has been transforming how pets receive their medications through state of the art compounding and same day delivery services. His team is making pet healthcare more accessible while maintaining the highest quality standards. Michael, welcome to the show.
Hi, Evan. Thank you so much for having me. It's really just a pleasure to be here, and I'm excited to share the story with you.
Yeah, glad to have you. So, what's the origin story behind Blend Labs RX?
It started out as a sad story. About 9 years ago, I had a 4.5-year-old English Golden, the sweetest soul. His name was Bear, and he had chronic ear infection and got diagnosed with lymphoma at 4.5, which is almost unheard of. And then, it's like, what do you do? So I, like every other pet parent, I was like, I'm going to do anything and everything I possibly can to help him. We went the route of oncologists and pharmacies and compounding pharmacies. And I'm a pharmacist by trade, but I was not in the business at that point. And it was crazy. Like, I should know what's going on. And I felt like I was just getting run around in circles, and no one really was there to hold my hand and explain what was going on. And it's a stressful situation. Bear passed away 6 months later. And I had this really bad taste in my mouth that there had to be a better way for people going through an extremely stressful situation with their pet, which is like having an infant because they can't talk to you and you love them so much. There had to be someone or something or some company out there to really help them and take the stress out of pet medicine. So that is what pushed me to found Blend Labs. And ever since, our goal is to take the stress out of pet medicine. And judging by the feedback we've been getting for the last 4.5 years, we seem to be doing a couple of things right.
What makes your approach to veterinary medicine delivery unique?
We're all about education. So every single, believe it or not, this sounds crazy, but every single pet parent that gets a prescription from us, they get a session with one of our compounding veterinarian pharmacists who walk them through every single prescription they're getting, every medication, and the mechanism of action behind that prescription. Mrs. Jones is coming in with her dog who has a cardiac issue, and she's prescribed this drug called pimobendin, and she has no idea what it is. 99% of people don't. And one of our pharmacists will get on and literally say, okay, Ruffy has a cardiac heart issue. We're going to dispense pimobendin, and pimobendin has two mechanisms of action. And they'll walk them through it. And the same thing with diuretics and every drug. What we found is that the stress levels of people from all walks of life, some doctors, nurses, construction workers, entrepreneurs, housewives, everyone just feels more relaxed. And that's really been the key to our success. I know we make the highest quality product and we have the greatest customer service, but we care. We really care about education. We offer ourselves 24/7 access to every one of our patients. So very rarely do I get the calls in the middle of the night, but last week, a patient called. Her husband took the dog's medicine at 2 in the morning instead of his medicine, and she was freaking out, but he survived. So that was a good thing. But it's really all about the education and caring and really just putting them first.
So, where are you focusing most of your energy in the business right now?
Right now, we are focusing on cardiac care. It's high risk. There is really a gap between the product and the patient. So a lot of medicine is being dispensed, but not a lot of education is being done around it. You go to your GP, or even if you go to the cardiologist, sometimes when the stress levels are so high, you could be in front of the greatest GP, but it's like being in a Charlie Brown cartoon. They're talking, but you don't hear a word they're saying. So our focus is really about spreading the word of education and allowing people an ecosystem where they can step into it and really feel nurtured and cared for. After building this infrastructure that we have over the last 4 years, we're now putting ourselves out there for the first time ever. Because about 8 months ago, we had no website and people couldn't really find us. But now we're spreading the word.
Yeah, that's really important. What types of veterinary practices and pet medications do you serve best?
Well, we can serve everything except for steriles. We don't do any injectables or any eye drops because I just think there's too much risk. But we make I think 17,000 different products. Believe it or not, 90% of our business is really around cardiac care. We serve as the general practitioner who is dispensing or writing the prescription for the cardiac meds. Uh, out to the specialist. Our reputation has grown because we make things on the same level as a pharma company. So we hired a master formulator from AstraZeneca when we first started before we even made a tablet, because it's really all about quality. We send everything out for third-party testing. We're as far as I know, the first compounding pharmacy to ever have a double-blinded study done comparing the brand, what's known as VetMed, to our pimobendan, and that abstract will be published in about 90 days. We really, really, truly care about providing the best product and the best level of care and customer service. We are blessed that we have phenomenal employees. But the training, our SOPs, our standard operating procedures, about 7,500 pages long. So it's not about hiring someone and in 2 weeks they're in there doing their thing. It takes months, sometimes up to a year, to really get someone fully integrated. That's why up until now, we've never advertised, because the last thing I would ever want to do is build this reputation, take care of these patients, and then not be able to do what we say we're going to do, which is, death knell for the business and for our reputation. It's always about the people, right? You can have the greatest product, but if you don't have the greatest customer service and the interaction with the client, that's over with. If you don't have the greatest techs and pharmacists in the lab making the product, it's going to sound a little hokey, but I truly believe that the energy they put into making it really has an effect on the outcome. So we want everyone to be happy. We want them to feel like a family. In the large scheme of things, we've been very, very fortunate. So it's always about the people.
You mentioned advertising and just starting to get out there. What kind of plans do you have to do that?
So there's a convention called ACVIM where every cardiologist and specialist in the country goes. And it's the first time we're ever taking a booth there. We'll be at ACVIM, be able to get in touch with a lot of the specialists and cardiologists that we work with. And we're using that to really launch the next thing. We set up a YouTube channel, and I'm going to be recording a video on every single medication we dispense. It might take me a little while, but we're going to do it so that we can create free access to everyone. They can just go and learn about it. They don't have to buy anything or do anything. Again, it all goes back to the education. And from where I stand, if you educate someone, they'll be your customer for life. If you sell them something, they can get it anywhere.
Yeah. Well, education is really important, especially for the customer. Definitely helps you stand out. What do you think makes it difficult to stand out in the veterinary pharmacy market?
There are a lot of competitors. There are much larger competitors that have been around many more years than we have, and are funded not just by an owner or a founder. So you're fighting an uphill battle with going out there and just advertising and spending dollars, because I don't know what the ROI on that would be. But what I can tell you is every time we put ourselves out there just to educate or go do a lunch and learn and let people know, it's really just been unbelievable, the feedback and the growth. We're so concentrated on the specialties that we don't need 1,000 more vets, right? There are 400, I think, and 82 cardiologists in the country. If we get 10% of the cardiologists that are in the country, we're doing great. That's really our goal, just to stay extremely focused. Inch wide, mile deep, instead of a mile wide and an inch deep.
Well, I guess that answers my question about your growth targets for this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. So we are focused on bringing on a finite number of cardiologists, and that will allow us to almost triple the business in the next 9 to 12 months. Chronologically, for the first 2 years, we were just trying to figure out what we were doing. It's almost like the blind leading the blind. Year 3, I took 18 state board exams to get us licensed in 49 states. We're still waiting on California, but that's like a whole nother country trying to get licensed there. And this year, our focus has been growth. We are growing about 15% a month. We're right in that sweet spot of pressing everyone to grow more without making their lives miserable, where they all want to run out the door at 5 o'clock and never come back. It's finding that balance. but we've set up redundancies in the business so we can triple where we are in production and not affect our quality of care.
Yeah, definitely. So once you corner that market, are you thinking about expanding into other areas as well?
So first we're cardiology, then probably dermatology, oncology, all the ologies, and just go one specialty at a time. But there's so much growth. There are 90 million cats and 70 million dogs in the US. 20% approximately of that population, 15 to 20%, have cardiac issues. So the market is enormous. Every King Charles Cavalier, it's sad to say, that you see on the street, and most bulldogs and French bulldogs, because their biology and the way their skull is positioned, they almost everyone has a cardiac issue. So if we can help all of them, then that's a huge win. And then we'll figure out where the growth comes next.
So what trends in veterinary medicine and pet healthcare excite you the most?
What excites me the most right now is getting this study that we have done. The way that the market is, at least the way I see the market going, it's more evidence-based now than ever. 20 years ago, you had pharmacies all over the country that weren't as regulated. The FDA hadn't set down all these different guidelines. So you had guys that owned a pharmacy that might have been doing a little compounding on the side, eating. I have this vision of some guy eating a sandwich with a hood in front of him, making something and getting it out the door. Now there's so much regulation. For us, it works out well because we built the business around the regulation and for the regulations. We always try to exceed whatever the regulations are. That's changing. So if we can always stay a little bit ahead of the curve, third-party testing on all of our products, so that when a new vet comes to us and says, well, how do I know you have a good product or it's sustainable? We can send them what's called a C of A, a certificate of analysis, that shows that what we make or the dosing that we make is actually what's in the tablet or capsule or suspension. And that excites me because I think the more evidence-based products we have, the stronger our reputation is, and the easier the growth comes. All the legwork we've done will allow us to scale more easily because we've tried to make the business as bulletproof as you can be. Nothing is ever bulletproof, and there's always change. But I think that we've really, really worked hard, and all of the people we work with have worked so hard to make us pretty much bulletproof.
That's great. So what's going to be crucial to get right with the business that this year?
The the most crucial thing for us this year is production, because 2 years ago we could make a small batch of something and it was gone in a week. Now we make a small batch of something and it's gone in 2.5 hours. It's finding that balance, because we're a compounding pharmacy, we're not a manufacturer, of making enough to support our clients, but not making too much because A, we can't afford to misspend, and B, who wants to waste? So we really try to find that balance. The biggest challenge, I think, going forward is scaling. It is really finding that balance of growth and not just growing for the sake of growing.
Absolutely. So if we were to have this conversation again in 12 months, which I hope we do, what would make you feel it's been a successful year for the company?
That's a really good question. If we hit our sales targets and maintained our 5-star rating on Google, knowing that we help people, and that would make me happy. Reading the reviews, it sounds corny, but like sometimes they make me tear up because we've really had an impact on people. And as I've gotten older, I've learned that what matters to me is helping people. The money comes, the growth comes. But if I know that at our core, we're really focused on just helping everyone as best we can, then that's a success, at least in my book.
That would be a great success. Would love to see all of those pet parents happy out there.
Yeah, that would make me happy as well.
Well, thank you. And that's it for today's episode of a Healthier,
Amazing.
Happier You.
Thanks, Evan. I
Uh,
really appreciate it.
Absolutely. A huge thank you to Michael Altman for sharing his insights and the amazing work that Blend Labs RX is doing to help pets and people live healthier, happier lives. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could benefit. If you're a brand or business making an impact in health, wellness, or personal care, we'd love to help you grow. Connect with me at luxhammer.com. Thanks for listening. Until next time, stay healthy, stay happy, and keep making a difference.